Somewhere in Florida, a woman hears a knock at her front door. Not a person, a bird. A tall, gray sandhill crane, nearly as tall as she is standing on her porch, tapping the glass with its beak, the way it does every single spring. She opens the door, and the crane, calm as anything, steps aside to reveal what it brought with it: two tiny, fuzzy chicks. It didn't come for food. It came, it seems, to introduce its family. It sounds like a fairy tale, but this really happened. The story of a crane the family nicknamed a returning friend went viral, watched by millions. And here's the strange part: it is not a one-off. All over the world, wild animals, creatures with every reason to fear us, sometimes walk straight up to a human being and in their own way seem to ask for help. Elephants, whales, tigers. So today, one simple question: why on earth would a wild animal ask a human for anything? Now, before we go further, a warning, because this is exactly the kind of story the internet loves to fake. Your feed is right now full of videos of elephants rescuing children and bears returning lost babies, and a huge number of them are completely fabricated by AI. So we're going to do this properly. Real, documented cases only. The actual science of why it happens. And at the end, I'll show you how to spot the fakes yourself. Stay to the end for that. It will change how you watch every animal video from now on. Let's start with that crane. Sandhill cranes are enormous, wary birds that mate for life and remember places for years. This particular crane had visited the same yard season after season, slowly learning that the humans there were harmless and generous. Over time, the fear that keeps a wild animal alive quietly wore away, replaced by something closer to trust. So when it had chicks, it did what it had always done. It came home. To the humans it had, in a sense, adopted. Case 2, and this one is far more urgent. In more than one reported incident, villagers have described a wild elephant appearing at the edge of their settlement, agitated, insistent, refusing to leave. When people cautiously followed, the elephant led them to a calf, trapped, fallen into a well, tangled in a fence, stuck in mud. Elephants are among the most intelligent animals alive, with tight family bonds and long memories. A mother who cannot free her own child, and who has learned that these strange two-legged creatures can move and build and dig, may decide they are her best chance. Whether the elephant truly understood that humans could help, or simply led her herd's rescuers to the only nearby creatures who might, we can't climb inside her mind to know for certain. But the outcome is the same, and it has repeated enough times to make researchers pause. Sometimes the desperate ask for help is unmistakable, even across the enormous gulf between species. Case 3 is one of the best documented of all because it was filmed. Off the coast of Hawaii, a wild bottlenose dolphin approached a group of night divers and deliberately hung in the water in front of one of them, tilting its body again and again. The diver realized the dolphin was tangled, a fishing line and hook cutting into its fin. So he went to work with a pair of scissors, and the dolphin held remarkably still, letting a human it had never met cut it free. Then it swam off into the dark. Whales do it too. There are documented cases of humpback and gray whales, wrapped in heavy fishing gear or crabpot lines, staying strangely calm as human rescue teams approached in small boats, sometimes even nudging closer, rolling to present the tangled parts. A panicking 40-ton whale could kill a rescuer with a single flick of its tail. Instead, again and again, they wait. As if they understand that the small creatures in the boat are not a threat, but the only ones who can undo what other humans did to them. During Australia's brutal droughts and bushfires, something began to happen that locals had almost never seen. Koalas, normally shy, tree-bound, and utterly indifferent to people, started coming down. They approached cyclists on the road and climbed onto their bikes. They wandered up to firefighters and hikers and drank, desperately, from offered water bottles. It wasn't affection. It was thirst so extreme that a lifetime of instinct to avoid humans simply broke. When survival is on the line, the fear can lose. And then there are the predators, the animals we should least expect to come closer. In parts of Russia and India, there are reported cases of tigers, the apex hunters of their forests, approaching human settlements not to attack but injured and starving, lying down near people almost in surrender. In one account, a tiger with a mouth full of porcupine quills, unable to hunt, sat outside a village. For an animal built to see us as either a threat or a meal to override every instinct and go still in front of us, the desperation has to be almost total. Even the ocean sends them. Off the California coast, exhausted and sick sea lion pups have been filmed hauling themselves up boat ladders and flopping onto the decks of startled boaters, then simply lying there, too weak to be afraid. To a struggling young animal, a boat is a dry, stable island, and the humans on it are, apparently, worth the risk. So what is actually going on here? Scientists are careful, and they should be, but a few real explanations do the heavy lifting. The first is habituation. When an animal is around humans long enough without being harmed, the automatic fear response slowly fades. The crane didn't decide to trust, it simply unlearned its fear, one safe encounter at a time. The second is learned association. Animals are brilliant at connecting cause and effect. A whale freed from a net by humans, a bear fed at a campsite, an elephant whose herd was once rescued. These animals can form a powerful link. Humans equal help or humans equal food. It isn't sentiment, it's memory, and it can pass through a social group, teaching others that the two-legged creatures are worth approaching. The third and the most heartbreaking is pure desperation. The thirsty koala, the starving tiger, the entangled whale, for these animals, the instinct to avoid humans is still there. It's just outweighed. When you are dying, the rulebook goes out the window, and even your oldest enemy starts to look like a possible rescuer. Fear is a luxury a desperate animal can no longer afford. And then there's the question nobody can fully answer. Do some of these animals actually understand that we can help? Elephants, whales, dolphins, and great apes are among the smartest minds on the planet, capable of planning, of grief, of recognizing themselves in a mirror. Whether a mother elephant truly reasons that a human can dig out her calf, or is just acting on a desperate, half-formed hope, is a line science can't yet draw. And honestly, that mystery is the best part. Now for the part I promised. Because the internet took these beautiful, rare, real moments and drowned them in fakes. Scroll for 2 minutes and you'll find an elephant catching a falling child at a zoo, an alligator gently carrying a baby back to its mother, a bear knocking politely to return a lost toddler. They rack up millions of views, and almost all of them are generated by AI. So here is how to catch them every time. Rule 1. Watch the hands, feet, and background. AI still struggles with the boring details: fingers that melt together, paws with too many toes, a background object that warps or flickers, water that doesn't move quite right. Rule 2. It's too perfect. Real animal encounters are shaky, badly framed, and awkward. If the camera is cinematically positioned for the perfect emotional shot of a wild bear at the exact right moment, be very suspicious. Rule 3, and the most important, follow it back to a source. A real, remarkable animal event gets covered by a local news station, a wildlife charity, a named person who was actually there. A fake has none of that. No article, no rescue organization, no name. Just a faceless account posting the same emotional bait as 100 others. If you can't find a single credible source behind the miracle, it almost certainly didn't happen. Here's why this matters. The flood of fakes doesn't just fool people, it cheapens the real thing. Because the true stories, the crane on the porch, the whale holding still, the tiger too weak to run, don't need to be exaggerated. They're already astonishing. A wild creature shaped by millions of years of learning to fear us, choosing in its worst moment to come closer instead of running. That is a small miracle that actually happens. We don't need to invent them. We just need to stop letting the fakes bury them. So the next time an animal seems to ask a human for help, you'll know what you're really looking at. Sometimes a fake, worth ignoring, but sometimes fear losing to trust, or memory, or desperation, or maybe, just maybe, a flicker of understanding across the vast distance between two very different minds. If a story like this made you look at animals a little differently, subscribe. This is the Weird Ages, where we tell the strangest true stories straight and check the receipts. and I'll see you in the next one.